Hello and welcome to Wisdom and Productivity, the podcast of Dr. Efraín Martínez. I am a principal in search of wisdom, and I have found productivity to be a great tool for success. Today is a very special episode. It is episode number 202. And today, the title of today's podcast is, and I asked my special friend Chulu to record the episodes. The title of today's podcast is
The Wisdom and Productivity of Dr. Efraín Martínez.
So I think that in every podcaster's journey, there is one moment where you wonder, until which extent am I going to take this? This has been such a long journey. Like I said, 202nd episode today. And the journey started back then, before, right when COVID started. I think when COVID started, many of the people with um, uh, that were exposed to artistic things wanted to express what they were thinking. At that time, I had just finished my doctoral degree, which in my case was about I researched emotional intelligence and school principles. And I was just fascinated on the art of leadership, how people get to succeed, because I was not succeeding. I was doing really bad. So I started shadowing successful principles, and I learned how they thought about things, how they will walk around the hallways, how would they position their bodies, and where they were, how were how will they communicate with others, the way they looked, and then behind the scenes they will tell me, this group is like this, and this teacher has that need, and you have to meet them where they're at. And I never thought about that way. Although I thought being a principal was being a servant leader, I was just aiming at the wrong place. I thought as a principal, you are there to serve the children, and you are. Children have to be the most important thing, but in order to put children first, you cannot put the teachers and the staff last. As the principal, your main duty is to serve them, meet them where they're at, because they are the ones who are really making the huge impact in children. So basically, I learned that you love children by loving, in a school way, speaking, of course, the faculty and staff. So I had this idea of like, well, now that we are in COVID and we cannot go out, what if I create a show where I get to interview luminaries who have succeeded, who have endured challenges, and ask them questions based on that. And quite exciting. 202 episodes. I had 72 reflections where I remember the first one was the why of wisdom and productivity. And I'm pretty certain I pretty much explained in an elongated version what I just explained to you and why I wanted to have the show. I interviewed 18 teachers, which gave me a new perspective on what is to be on the grounds as someone who wants to perform very well every day, and the pressures and how to deal with abusive administrators. I interviewed 10 assistant superintendents, which is probably as daunting and difficult as the superintendent position might be, often because there's not a lot out there on what to do to prepare to be an assistant superintendent. That is an area that is fertile, that needs a lot of expansion on how to support, for example, school principals who are thinking and jumping into the district office to be an assistant sub of X, learning and teaching, of student services, of leadership, of human resources, etc. So I am very interested in knowing more about that. I interviewed 13 superintendents. Well, like when you get someone who's basically the mayor of their city to take the time to meet with me over the weekend at 7 in the morning, like wow, what an honor, and I'm very thankful to each one of you. I interviewed 34 edupreneurs, people that are in the education field, and the way they make their living is by imparting professional development. And they travel all over the world, and they have mega pristine productivity tips on how to organize themselves, because they truly need to be organized in order to ensure that their enterprise is successful. I did 13 book reviews, which for me are the most complicated ones, because although I am an avid reader, sometimes you want to read a book just for the leisure of adding more buckets of wisdom into your nest. But when you read for a book review, you have to be thinking about the questions that all types of readers would like to ask about the work of art, and that is difficult because you don't want to the person who has written the book, you want them to feel awesome about that interview. You want them to feel, oh, you have read my thing. You truly understood, not necessarily agree, but you truly understood where I was trying to get you in. And that was quite amazing. 5 assistant principals. I would say being an AP is harder than being a principal. There's many reasons for that. I interviewed 27 principals. I have been now a principal, I believe, 10 years now. Let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, my 10th year as a principal. I guess I surpassed the 10,000 hours, yet not the best I could be. I guess I will never get there, and that is okay, because I truly enjoy the riding the wave of learning, of always feeling that I don't have enough. I need more and more and more. It's like insatiable. And it was pretty fascinating to interview principals from the city of Chicago, from outside of the city, from outside of the state and beyond. That was quite amazing. 9 professors. Wow, like I had professors from the city of Chicago, from outside, from Maryland. Had Michael Platt uh, from neuroscience in UPenn to be on my podcast. I got a professor from Massachusetts on AI. Like wow, like what? How fortunate I feel of having the opportunity to interview like luminaries that you read books written by them, and you just truly admire how they impact the world through their work and their words, and that was quite amazing. I think there were of without wanting to hurt anybody's feelings, I do have my favorite episodes. And the favorite episode, of course, is the one of my wife. I think it's titled The One. Um, like, like sometimes when I think about my past and about the tragedies I went through, um, and all of a sudden, in my early 20s, I meet this person that feels like in Pulp Fiction when they open the briefcase and there's like this gold. I just knew it like that. Rosemary, you're gold, and we have been together ever since. We have two beautiful, beautiful, beautiful children, and like interviewing you, being the first interview in my show. What an honor! We were in, I think, Tennessee or Missouri. We were on vacation, and that will always be memorable. So thank you. Um, my other episodes are not in any order. It's just they say something that truly impacted my life. I interviewed Mike Lubelfeld, who was uh, not only a Twitter friend by then, but then I eventually ended up working for him in his district. He said, "Embrace criticism," and that really impacted me because uh, it was not until the other day that I started wanting to hear the feedback and criticisms of others. If it wasn't something good, I didn't want to hear it because what do everybody know that I don't know already? The super overachiever, school principal, yada, yada, yada. Um, but Michael Luberfeld taught me that embrace criticism. Doesn't matter where is it coming from. There's some lesson there for you to learn. So embrace it. Oof. The other podcast quote that really impacted me was by Dave Stovall, professor at UIC, that was talking about equity. And he said, "Since when historical accuracy became a threat?" Oof, that went through my spine. Um, what a way, what a inquiry to bring forward whenever you are discussing issues about equity. And some people have decided that the best way to address it is to ignore it, is to forget about it, is to not teach it, because somehow by not learning from the mistakes of the past, we're going to make a better future. And he brought that into my mind, and I have used it quite efficiently several times in this conversation that unfortunately gets often out of what it should be. And we're in this journey. And finally, Carpooline, who's a productivity guru, and this gentleman talked to me, I believe, from somewhere in Korea, where he lives with his spouse, and he's I believe British, and he had all these productivity videos, Todoist, which is my favorite app, and other stuff. And I asked him to be in my podcast, and when he defined productivity, he said, "Productivity is your relationship with time." Oof. Um, how much time you and I have wasted in our lives for not being able to be organized. Um, it is so important that we manage ourselves so we can use the time to the best of our capabilities instead of allowing time to pass by and then living a life full of regrets. So yeah, that was my journey podcasting. It has been such a great thing. So let's go with the question, Shulu.
Dr. Martinez, who are you?
Who am I? Okay, so I asked all these people interview questions about their wisdom and their productivity. So today I'm going to try to answer my own questions. I think I am a better stage than I was when I started this podcast 3 years and 9 months ago. So who am I? I am the son of Agustin Martinez Perez. I am the son of both Josefina and Luisa. I am the kid who is Puerto Rican and Venezuelan. I am the kid who was raised in an environment of trauma. I learned that to lie from a very young age because that's what my parents believed. Um, I I went through a childhood full of anger and full of uh, frustration, and I am the kid who came from Puerto Rico to the United States and went through the ordeal of learning English. And I knew some English, but it was very bad English, and I know how it feels to be rejected by your language or saying something and someone says, "What?" and it makes you feel like this small. um, I learned through mental health professionals that mental health is important. That if we don't address our issues end up addressing us. Or the other quote is, if you don't use your memories will use you. Um, I am a father. I Everything that I do is always thinking on how can I be a better father than the one that I had, and I hope that when my kids, if they have kids, that they can say, "I want to be a better father than my father," because that's how you make the world better. You know, you put your part, and the other person puts their part, and we everybody put their parts. Uh, I um, I am a husband to Rosemary, an art teacher, a wonderful person. We have together a beautiful family, which is the meaning of life. Like, you are where your kids are from. Um, I am a school principal. I love what I do. I love starting every morning, welcoming every teacher into the building, every staff member, because they're about to influence children. Like, this is important work, and I strive to support them as much as possible, and I feel that that's the way I can support teachers. I love soccer. I love Premier League, La Liga. I watch Bayern de Munich in Germany. I watch Inter and Milan, and now Napoli in La Serie A. I just don't go for one team. I think that's one of the things that I learned through going through mental health specialists, is that instead of going for a team and suffer when they lose, just go to enjoy great football and or soccer. So ever since I haven't gotten for one team, I have not gotten sad once, and I have just enjoyed uh, the best football or soccer that is available. I love to read. I do audiobooks, I do Kindle, I do actual books, uh, and I love to study. I love to read things that make me a better person. I love things on wisdom and productivity, and I think reading and learning is my favorite hobby. I also love um, I have been doing podcasting for quite a while. Now we're going to take a little break so I can put all my energy into uh, what is in front of me. And that's basically a story of me. Thank you for asking.
Please, sir, your professional trajectory up to the point.
Okay, my professional trajectory up to this point. So, one of the things that happened after I went to college is that I had absolutely no employment opportunities. I had no special abilities. I have not thought that far away. My father had a third grade education, so for him going to college was like the biggest thing, and for me too. But I just didn't realize how difficult real life can be, and oof, it was rough. It was rough. My first job was as a database coordinator in a university hospital. Basically, I had to put numbers all day long, and I hated working in that cubicle. And then I'm working a couple of more hospitals trying to run away from bad performance because I would have fired myself. I just didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was really bad. But two things happened. One is that in one of the gigs, I have to serve sandwiches and coffee on Fridays during the professional development event of the physicians. And I was able to see by myself how deeply curious those physicians were with their questions to each other, with the esteem and respect they treated each other. Everybody was Dr. So and so and so. And I thought that's the way people learn in teams. They work in collaboration, they were pushing each other with utmost respect. And I took it with me many years later as a school administrator on ensuring that the time for learning is sacred and that people can use that time wisely. So, and the second thing was that I started thinking, well, I need to find some meaning in my life. I hate doing what I'm doing. What the heck do I want to do? And I said, I'm going to be a school principal. And a school principal, thinking of my own school principal, because I was always in trouble. And some of the best conversations I had growing up, from adults to a child, was with the school principal. But then I didn't realize that I had to be a teacher. I was okay, fine, be a teacher. So I became a teacher in Chicago Public Schools through a program called Chicago Teaching Fellows. And that was rough. And it's just, I had not learned my lesson from my time as a secretary in the hospital world. If you don't come with your A game and you don't dedicate yourself to be the best that you can be, then you're going to have people giving you pushback because you are not the best. And to be in that seat and to get that salary and to get that privilege, you have to do a good job. So I was not doing a good job. In fact, in my second year as a teacher, I started pursuing or getting interested in pursuing the master's degree in educational leadership to become a principal. But how ignorant of me. I didn't realize that in order to be a principal, you at least have to be a good teacher. Not even a very good, a good teacher. Not the best, but at least a good teacher. So I was a teacher for 6 years. I would say the first 2 years and a half, but the other ones, I started reading uh, about good teaching. I started informing myself, asking mentors, asking my principal. I think just got better, and it got better that I was asked to coach, and I was able to play to coach soccer. And you know what? My teams never won, and probably I will never get a prize that says best coach of the year. But I could sense, it was palpable, the improvements in the two teams that I led. And from nothing to a united team is a big success. and you don't get a prize for it, but I knew it. It was like a badge of honor. And the way those students treated me and the little things they gave me when it was time to end the season um, made a big difference. I was also a technology coordinator, which was an unpaid position, but it gave me the sense of, hey, I can do stuff beyond the classroom. And by that time, it was basically connecting a bunch of computers and doing work orders. I even went above and beyond and created a website, even though the website was not approved. It showed that I wanted to do more for the school. So then I became a bilingual coordinator for a very short term in Chicago Public Schools, actually a summer, because immediately I was promoted. So lucky me, became an assistant principal. Oh, it was first year awful. My second AP position was a little bit better, but still a lot spaces to learn. I knew a lot about management, but very little about leadership. Then I became a principal, Orozco Academy. I was there 6 years. The first 2 years as a principal, mega failure. Um, and yeah, it tells me that principals need a lot of support because often we don't know what the heck we're doing. And I went from the most hated principal. I was in Univision, in Telemundo, in NBC, ABC. But I went from there to Illinois Principal of the Year from the South Cook section. And that was huge because it was a testament that when you do good things happen, and hard work pays off. Um, it was a symbol also that I was able to to learn about the power of collaboration with teams, and that a school needs to come together in order for a school to be successful. And then after that, I went to District 112 in Highland Park. Ooh, very different. Um, I will say my 2 years there, I did a lot of mistakes thinking that being a principal in the city is the same thing of being a principal in the suburbs, but no, it's very different. Not better or worse, it's just different. And if you ever do that change, make sure that you ask for advice from people, because you can have a hard time like I did. However, I had good mentors and good people that led me, and they led me to District 205 in Elmhurst, where I'm now. And now that I was coming with an experience of, hey, this is how it's to be a principal in the suburbs, things have gone much better. I'm in a beautiful school called Conrad Fisher Elementary, where we teach that when you do good things happen, and things are going well. There's always, progress looks like this, but I feel like we're coming more together as a team, and we're doing great things for children. I got into this podcasting as a side gig at the beginning, when COVID started and all these people started talking about podcasters making money. Yeah, I will admit at some point I thought, wow, maybe I can make some good dough on the side. Maybe that can pay for something of my kids' college. But no, not me. Other people have found success. And if they haven't, I am grateful that you do, because somebody has to do it. But it was not my cup of tea. However, again, 202 episodes, including this one, and all of the wisdom and productivity I have been able to steal from the people interviewed, from the books, the quotes, etc., etc. And lately, I have been mentoring and adjuncting with DePaul University, and there has been a great opportunity to explore what does it feel to teach a class via a computer, because the classes I'm teaching are online. and I have learned quite a lot. So yeah, that's in a nutshell my professional trajectory up to this point. What is next?
Like in Back to the Future, if you could go back in time, what are one or two things that Efraín of today would tell the Efraín of back then?
Wow. Um, Two things that I will say is that number one, all failures are lessons. Every single one of them. I think for my most of my life, I have been trying not to make mistakes, which of course you fail twice because you are going to make mistakes. But what if you fall forward? What if you fall and start thinking and reflecting? What are the lessons that you are learning from X, Y, and Z? So, for example, when I was in the hospital, the lesson of the importance of professional development, and also that if you don't do well, then you're going to have your bosses on top of you. You need to perform well. If you are in the court, you're giving the ball, you better do a good pass or you better score, but you have to do something about it and you have to be the best that you could be. And then the other lesson that I will tell myself is that confidence only works if you use it. It's not about just reading and having things here, but you have to use it. You have to practice. You have to talk about your problems with people that are wiser than you so they can advise you. How many things you could have avoided if you had someone to consult about something? This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? So you can make better decisions and ensure that you can have the life that you want to live.
If you could give your favorite book to a loved one fiction and one not fiction, which would it be? And why do these books hold a special place in your hearts?
So, books are truly a luxury. I will start with my my favorite fiction book. And it's my favorite because I have read and listened to this book maybe 15 times. And it's called The Corrections by Jonathan Franzen. And it's about a um, Midwest family with three adult children and all the traumas that unfold. And truly, sometimes fiction can be better than nonfiction in terms of teaching you lessons of life. And it truly talks about how much time we waste because we don't really think about um, the consequences of um, of our actions. Um, I I truly recommend any book of Jonathan Franzen. Freedom is wonderful too. Crossroads, his last, but this one, the corrections, I would say, is his absolute magnus opus. And for nonfiction, I truly recommend How to Win Friends and Influence People. Uh, this is a book that, since my father, who had only a third grade education, he will talk about El Librito de Oro de Dale Carnegie, the little golden book of Dale Carnegie. And it was really like a little brochure that had these principles. I remember the first one is do not criticize, condemn, or judge anyone. It has other important quotes like, you can catch more bees with honey. And basically, like how you can live your life knowing and feeling how other people think about how you are treating them. Because at the end of the day, we all want to do great things. We all do want to do great things, but we lack the thought that the other person in front of us is thinking and feeling certain things. And if we totally ignore it, um, then we don't get to where we want to get, and we get frustrated. So it's not about manipulation, but about understanding the humanity. And when you make someone feel good, then two people feeling good can do great things. And when you do good things happen. When we live in this society that I'm here to show you how smarter I am than you, taller, handsomer, etc., that takes us nowhere. And I would highly recommend that you read those two books.
Who are your biggest influences?
Biggest influences. I would say when I was growing up, there was a disciplinarian, the equivalent of the AP of discipline. Her name was Miss Massa. Miss Massa never yelled. Miss Massa never scared you by getting in your face. But the way that she will talk, that you had disappointed her, oof, that was something I couldn't deal with. It was like the worst punishment. And it was through that way that I learned how to admire on how powerful it is for an adult to support a child to self-regulate, to be aware of what they're feeling and what to do about it. Wow, what an influence in such a young age. I remember she gave me 15 demerits. And I said, but it's one offense. And he said, yeah, but it's a very heavy offense. Such an influential person. The other person was Todd Whitaker, who was in my podcast. Uh, what great principles do great, something like that is one of his books. And he has like a thousand books published, such an esteemed figure. But the first time I met him, I didn't even meet him. I was just in awe. I was going to my first professional development conference as a principal, thinking, oh my goodness, I'm such a failure. And I saw this man talk. And the moment he took the microphone, he started talking, I was like I had like a professional crush of, wow, I want to be just like that. So inspirational, so motivational, and in such a unique way that I was like, wow. I remember he said, when the principal sneezes, the school catches a flu. Whew. Like, wow. Like, what a more significant thing for me that I wasn't thinking how loud I was sneezing. So no wonder I was failing. So he was very instrumental in my life. Another one is another educator, Alberto Carvalho, superintendent in Los Angeles School District. Always dressed immaculately, his hair, the way he talks, his position, his body, what he represents. Wow. Epictetus is my strongest influence as a philosopher. And I know the guru that I follow the most is Robin Sharma, the 5 a.m. Club, the 8 Habits of Wealth, etc., etc. I highly recommend because it's truly inspirational.
How do you address imposter syndrome?
So imposter syndrome is something that is going to happen to everyone all the time. I am in the Illinois Principal Association conference, um, and one of the leaders said that he was insecure, and wow, like like how transparent is this leader that is able to say that in a professional conference. And in fact, we are all insecure because all at some point we believe that we do not know enough, that we're not smart enough, my English is not good enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not a certain shade of skin enough. etc. And I will say to that if everybody has had imposter syndrome, that means that the great ones have had the imposter syndrome as well. And if they were able to deal with it, I can do my best to deal with it as well.
Very successful at what you do might include staying on top of your positivity, and they can mean different things to different peoples. What can you share with us about your own system of positivity?
Productivity is, like Carl Pauline said, your relationship with time. One of the most important things I have learned is from David Allen that says, your brain is wonderful to generate ideas, but it's terrible at keeping them. So having something always with me where I can keep my ideas has been instrumental. Um, in addition of using a Moleskine journal to take notes, I use both apps of Apple Notes or Todoist, which is more like a to-do list. And talking about Todoist, it has been the app with the most influence in my professional trajectory. Think about an assistant that reminds you of the things that you need to do. So, for example, if I am walking in the hallway and a teacher tells me that something needs to happen, I just not say yes, I got you, but I immediately will get my app to make sure that I can write it down, and that way, without having to lose any bandwidth, I can go to my list and remind myself what I needed to do. So I highly recommend Todoist. I also I would advise for you to become aware of the hotkeys in Gmail because it really allows you to accelerate your work, especially with archive, delete, snooze, and reply. There's many hotkeys that you can easily do to facilitate how you do email. And finally, calendar is of the essence. Everything you need to do, put it in the calendar and it will get done. Oh, before I go to the last question, it is so important that you use your phone as your assistant. It's not only about texting yourself stuff, but also using Siri to remind you to do things. That has been super instrumental in my productivity system.
This has been such a great conversation. Is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners?
Thank you for your time and presence, for looking at the episodes, for all the support. When I see people and they tell me they have heard to one of my episodes, I feel full of joy. I think that at this time in my professional trajectory, I feel that I have reached some sort of the top of some very small mountain. And like any other person, I immediately realized that there is another mountain to climb. And I think that at this point, I'm gonna leave back some of the hobbies and funds that I do on the side, and I'm gonna leave it a little behind. I might come back to it, but for now, I'm gonna focus in climbing that new mountain, whatever the challenge will that be. So thank you so much for your time. It has been quite an honor and a pleasure to be the host of Wisdom and Productivity. I wish you peace and calm.
Thank you for listening to Wisdom and Productivity, the podcast of Dr. Efraín Martínez.
Chulo.
And I love that production. Chill out.